Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today I'm going to cover how I farm hundreds of potions before doing any major piece of content by basically doing nothing. This is the first part of two, where I will also do one on how I farm revives as well. The basics of potion farming are pretty simple. If you go into Realm of Legends, every boss there has, I think, about a 75% chance to drop you a level 3 potion, which is 1650 health. Throw some boosts on, and potions do scale with boosts, and you're looking at about 2000 health per potion. Now, if you want to sit there and manually farm Realm of Legends on repeat, you're more than welcome to, and it is significantly faster. But I want a way of doing this more passively, and so that brings us on to Autofighting Realm of Legends. And actually, with a modern roster, it's not as difficult as you might think. I know Brian Grant over at Contest Champion looked into this a long time ago, but that was with sort of 6-star rank 3s, 6-star rank 4s, and given how far the game has moved since there, putting together a team that can auto-fight multiple or even all of Realm of Legends is actually not too difficult. The exact champions you are looking for are not overly important. There are lots of champions that can do it, and if you don't have some of the champions I mentioned here, just sticking in your top 5 champions will get you somewhere. Even if you can't farm all of Realm of Legends on auto for a very, very long time. I knew my team was going to die at Storm because her specials hit quite hard, so I would just do the first 4 fights and then just hit reset. Easy as that. Even if you can only do Winter Soldier, you will accrue potions over time. It won't be as fast, but it can certainly be done. So let's have a look at some top picks, some team suggestions, and some of the fights that you're going to have more issues with. First up, best champions. In my opinion, there are a few champions that stand above the rest when it comes to just how good they are, with a couple of caveats. And if you want to just run this one champion, or a couple of these champions, and then put in a sort of health support team of, say, double Angela, Loki, and Thor, which I think gives you plus 30% extra health, and is about as good as health teams go, that will do you absolutely fine. Remember, champions that have regen abilities based on health thresholds, which we'll come to in just a second, benefit from this massively because it pushes it higher, so it's more likely to happen sooner. So, best champions. Awakened King Groot is absolutely phenomenal, though he does need that high sig. The higher the sig he has, the more regen he's going to get because he bounces between his signature regen phase and his fury damage phase, but once that regen gets going, it's enough to pretty much shut down anything Realm of Legends is going to be throwing at you. Also, more regen on his special 3, so regen champions are really a way to go. Bringing us to number 2, Sasquatch. We all know how annoying Sasquatch is. Again, awakened regen can be. Sasquatch doesn't need as high a sig as King Groot because his only scales the chance, and with how much you're getting hit, the chance isn't overly important. But if you've got even a 7-star rank 1 awakened Sasquatch, he will do quite well. This is, if you're in the 7-star range, a good use for your sort of tier 2 dust, if you've ascended everyone that you want to, is actually looking, who can I send that I can auto fight with? And finally, on the regen trio, I would consider Kingpin a phenomenal regen option, assuming you're running willpower. He will basically be willpower healing the entire fight, and actually, even though he's only a 6-star, my Kingpin does a huge amount of lifting and is one of the champions I regularly use for auto fighting. He can also cut the opponent's health attack rating down significantly with the debuff on his special 1, massively increasing his effective health. One thing you have to consider when choosing the right champions to auto-fight with is that if a champion has any sort of specific rotation, the auto-fight AI is not going to do it. The AI is absolute rubbish when it comes to fighting. It will just... don't even. It's awful, 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 awful. So, for example, if you're doing it to yourself, Cosmic Ghost Rider is a phenomenal champion because he gets the fights down very, very quickly. You give Cosmic Ghost Rider to the AI, not a chance. So, regeneration champions are our first batch of champions, and our second batch of champions is ones that are just incredibly tanky. Some good examples of ones I use a lot. I use Colossus a lot. I use Dr. Doom a lot. Again, Doom is only a 5-star. He does a lot of heavy lifting. He's also particularly good for the first of our roadblock fights, which is Wolverine. There are many, many champions and teams that can get to Wolverine, but getting through that regeneration can be very tough, and Doom does it very reliably. There's not a huge amount of chance that Wolverine's going to get Doom down, and with Doom's aura and his staggers, he has a very good chance of removing all of Wolverine's regeneration and can clear through that fight very reliably. Kingpin can actually do it as well, as we covered in the previous champion section, so another option. I like to try and run multiple options for every roadblock, just to make sure that whoever goes in, because it is random, can do it. Well, it's not entirely random, but it depends how much health you've taken. I have had Kingpin finish Rhino above 90% health, meaning he does a load more fights, but I've also had him below 60% health, which means suddenly other champions might come into play. So we have regeneration champions and we have tanky champions. Our third set are slightly less reliable, but if you have them, you can certainly use them. And these are champions that have some major way of disrupting the opponent. Things like unstoppable, auto block, random stuns, sleep, that sort of thing that just lets your rubbish AI get more openings. So champions with easy access to unstoppable, again, Kingpin on his special too, another reason why he is so good. I can't recommend Juggernaut though, because as soon as you get stunned, which you will a lot, because the Realm of Legends opponents have a chance to stun you on basic hits, you will lose your Gem of Sitarak. It's okay, and if your Juggernaut's awakened, you're running real power, that is healing, but it's not the best. Someone like Killmonger with Counterpunch charge on his special one. Deathless Thanos also has Counterpunch charges. They're really good. Someone like Bullseye with his Evade. Someone like Armanzola with his Sleep. He's also very tanky, which is very helpful. Someone like Future Ant-Man, again, very tanky. And if you can get into Surging Swarm, which is a bit umming and ahhing, but it is possible, then you can also stun the opponent if they finish a combo. These champions are less reliable, but they can certainly do it. When it comes to team building, there are basically two options. You either go all in on one champion, or you don't, which I'm aware is not overly helpful, but let's cut it in half. For example, you have a ranked up Sasquatch. You took them up for, say, Battlegrounds defense with the occasional use on offense, because don't underestimate offensive Sasquatch, but he is also a very good option, as we have discussed, for Realm of Legends farming. You don't really have many other decent options, and so therefore I would recommend Sasquatch and a health team. Again, Sasquatch's regen comes online at 40%, so the higher you can push that 40%, the more time he's going to spend regenerating. So Sasquatch, double Angela, Loki, Thor, extra 30% health, really good going there. I'm not going to delve into it specifically, but if there are champions you want to run with that have a specific synergy that really helps them, feel free to run that one as well. But do remember, if you send in any of these backup champions, they're probably not going to do brilliantly at auto farming, but this isn't the biggest deal. They'll take off 5% health, maybe, get knocked out, and then you just send in the next one. The vast majority of synergies work whether the champion is alive or not. There are very few synergies that require the champions to be alive. Your other option is just to go and spread out the team. So, going back to the previous example, you've got your Sasquatch, great option, but you also have a Kingpin and a Doom. There's 3. Throw in 2 other champions at the top of your roster for more health and more damage, and just see how far they can go. Experiment with your own roster, see what works for you. The team I so commonly use is Colossus, Doom, Kingpin, and then just whoever else I feel like. My new Deathless Thanos goes in there quite a lot. He's fine. He's not the best. He'll do. I don't have a King Groot or a Sasquatch ranked up, but they would fill other slots. Sometimes I run Apocalypse. Gives, a bit of support to Colossus. Sometimes I'll run Omega Red. Not the best auto farming champion, but he gives more damage to Colossus. So that's an example of a supporting synergy. If you wanted to run Colossus, Omega Red, and then sort of triple health synergy, that would also be a very, very good team. No regen on Colossus isn't ideal, but you get the idea. Finally, let's have a look at the 3 roadblocks that you may wish to consider planning around. Going in order, our first roadblock is Juggernaut. He has his Unstoppable whenever he throws a special attack. Remember, this is old Juggernaut, not new Juggernaut, so it's only when he throws specials. You don't have to worry about him getting it on every hit like modern Juggernaut does. This fight isn't too bad because he doesn't actually hit very hard. I know Kingpin can take this fight very reliably when I'm going through it, so that would be one I'd recommend for you to use. Dr. Doom with his staggers, again, does a very good job here. The second blocker, which you wouldn't actually think is too much of a blocker, but certainly is Storm, for the simple reason that she just hits like a truck. That is it. Her basics are slightly harder than most, but not really. But if you get caught by her special 2 and it crits, that is really going to hurt. She's then going to stun you on it as well, and things can go very badly very quickly. Not the most difficult defender, but remember, the AI is never going to be dexing their specials, and quite often you just eat them to the face. I have had it where the AI has blocked the first 2 hits of her special 2, and then has decided to stop blocking and try and attack mid-special whilst you're getting absolutely walloped. So, not the best. And finally, as we've already covered, Wolverine and his regeneration is absolutely monstrous. If you are concerned specifically about this fight and you have him ranked up, sticking a Void on the team might work. This relies on Void going into that fight and not having gone into other ones because he's not the best. With the Killmonger synergy, he's got a little bit of regeneration, but not really. You can't rely on his special 1 landing. I guess he could work. It's a lot of passive damage, and now I'm thinking about it, I'd be quite curious to try it out. But assuming Void goes into that fight, you will get up enough debuffs to reverse Wolverine's regeneration, assuming Void throws enough special 1s, and the RNG isn't horrible. But you will eventually reverse all of that regeneration down. Again, probably. So, that's it. That's how I farm basically infinite potions. I recently did an Acropolis run for the Deathless Thanos dupe, and I think I went in with about 250 or something, and that was about 2 days of farming. Potions spend a long time in overflow, and when I did my first Necropolis runs, I went in with well over 1,000 potions ready to go. On higher ranked champions, you will go through them quickly. Every revive can cost you 15 or 20 potions, so do farm them, do use them. It's there to be used. Take advantage of it. There will be a part 2 to this where I go over revive farming and how I can pick up 60 to 70 revives a month with relatively little effort, so do stick around for that as well. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I won't be able to review everybody's team, so perhaps asking will this team work in the comments, I might not be able to help you directly, but specific champions I can probably do my best for. And consider joining the Discord server linked in the description. A great place to get specific advice, make suggestions for future video topics, and while I'm awake, I do my best to be there as much as possible. Thank you, and I will see you next time.